Welcome to the BXG Podcast, the podcast where pop culture and nerd culture meet.
You think it's just going to be barbecue sauce?
Because if you actually read those books, it's just gobbledygook.
I really think clothes should be mandatory.
Speaking of Star Wars,
Cassian Andor.
trailer reaction video. Andor, which is a Star Wars show. Right?
Correct.
Yeah, correct.
It is.
Andor this week, kind of a slower episode, a little bit more plot building. Cassian Andor himself is shipped off to a prison planet where he is put to work by I did not know Andy Serkis was in this, and it was delightful.
No.
Because I think that Andy Serkis is one of, like,
I'm just a tourist.
Right. But I think Andy Serkis is just one of the most underrated or like hidden gems that Hollywood has. I love Andy Serkis.
Oh, yeah.
And so to see him pop up in this and then be kind of like a dickhead was like pretty cool.
Yeah.
But he's serving out his time on this assembly line. I wish I knew what they were building. That would make it more fun. Like if they were constructing like TIE fighter wings or shit. I wish I knew for sure. But meanwhile, back at the ranch, the Empire's coming down harder and harder, trying to track this individual. They have an idea. He's the person who stole this component. And so Lieutenant Miro is questioning some of the other characters. She's questioning Cyril Khan, who keeps trying to clear his name. She's at the end, she's seen kind of questioning, or she's about to be questioning Bix. And unbeknownst to him, because he's in this prison and has a false identity, but the walls are kind of closing in on him. Meanwhile, Luthen is meeting up with Saw Gerrera, who we know in this sphere mostly from Rogue One, but also a very important character in the Clone Wars animated series, and trying to unite all the various disparate parts of the rebellion under one kind of common cause. And so a lot of this is happening. The other characters who he was involved with the heist are kind of keeping an eye on home. His mom seems like she's losing it, which we kind of predicted. I mean, we predicted that the Empire would kill her in one way or another. I still think that that's in play, especially because he thinks that she's part of the rebellion and she's going to do something dumb and get capped, basically. But yeah, I mean, like I said, a little bit of a slower episode. What did you think about this?
I think I'm just in on this whole show, and so even when it's a slower episode, since we know what they can do when they build off of it with that amazing heist episode, which just best television episode I've seen in a while. I mean, the only show I really can compare it to in like best TV show that I've seen is like a Succession episode or something. I mean, it's like that good a quality episode. And so, like, when it comes down to a slower episode, a building episode, I feel more okay with it than other shows that we've watched, because it's like, oh, well, I know what you can do at your best. So when you're giving me this kind of thing, I just thought, I thought the whole prison thing was sort of interesting. I really think that Diego Luna is just like kind of killing it acting. I mean, he's just kind of going next level, doing acting that isn't necessary for these kind of shows or or movies even. Yeah. He's going to go above and beyond what is needed. And then I do actually love how you said back at the ranch, because I kind of thought that when I was watching it. I was like, it'd be so funny if it was like a silent movie and it like did the things like back at the ranch and then they're like talking and just kind of putting this like whatever the music behind it, because it is sort of comical like that, where like they kind of know, we think they know, but they're still not sure who it is. And so that build up seems, and this is going to be 12 episodes. So I think this show is building in a different way than like other shows, because number one, we don't know if there's going to be a second season, correct? And I don't think we do. And so like this last episode could really be just about anything, which is super exciting for me.
No, there will be a second season.
Oh, there will be. Okay. I don't remember if we
Yeah,
knew, or so many shows. And we
it's
get
scheduled to
lost in it.
begin filming in November of this year, so right around the corner.
Oh, okay, right
But the
now. Yeah.
production is likely to last until August, so this will probably be, once this concludes, this is going to be the last we see of the show for probably over a year.
So I feel like, even knowing that, I feel like same thing for me though. It's like it'll be such a long period of time that I feel like this is just building for like a very climactic, if not a climactic ending, a climactic penultimate episode. Like very, like whether it's heisty-ish or not even, because I think this whole idea of the show is more of a heist than it is super actiony, because it's not lightsabers and ships flying around all the time and all that stuff. So that's how I look at it now. I think they're really good at building up. They do keep you kind of on the edge the entire time. The way they shoot it and everything is like sort of on the edge.
It's been interesting to see how this has kind of evolved because it's almost like a show that would be like a 24 episode season of like a network TV show.
Yeah.
It has like a consistent through line, but it's also kind of broken up into these almost mini series within the series. And I feel like that's how this has kind of been. The first 3 episodes, he does something he shouldn't do. He is, those first 3 episodes are him building up to escaping Firax, or Firax is whatever it's called, his home planet. And then the episodes 4, 5, and 6 are building up towards that heist. And now it seems like this is sort of the Butch Cassidy in Bolivia season, like season within the season of this, where he was lounging, and then he was just trying to go to the store. I'm hot because it's sweating, or I'm sweating because it's hot. And now he's in this prison, and you can imagine that next episode there's going to be like a breakout or something like that, some kind of a prison.
Right.
I kind of feel like, because of where the Empire's at, or not the Empire, but the rebellion is at within this season, and how it's a spark and they're trying to build that into kind of a flame. I kind of see the end as being more some type of large scale sabotage mission rather than like another heist.
I mean, that'd be cool.
I think that I feel like it would be redundant to do another heist type thing, but I could definitely see them, there's a huge weapons cache on this planet or whatever, and we're just going to blow it to smithereens. And this is your opportunity. You're either in or you're out on this thing. Look at how they did this to you. And it's kind of, it is. And I've said this throughout when talking about the show is, we never really see the Empire like being bad other than blowing up a planet. And, we're just told that they're the bad guys. Right. And this is kind of showing that more insidious side of the Emperor, or the Empire, where it's, wrongfully imprisoned, ridiculously long sentences. He's sentenced for like 9 years, 6 years, something like that, for just like being a pain in the ass of some city stormtrooper. And we've made this connection a lot, but the Empire as it stands bears so many comparisons to some type of a fascist army. I know we've talked about the Nazis, but you can kind of point a finger at like the way things are running in Russia right now, with like, people who are speaking out against their president. And it's just kind of like, that's what I want to see, is show me why they're bad. Show me why they are, show me why everyone hates them. And that's kind of the thing that the Luthen character is trying to bring about, which is we need them to be more ruthless. We need them to be more aggressive. We need them to be more overbearing, because that is what's going to take this spark and turn it into a flame and then turn it into a full-blown rebellion. When we bring them down on us hard, then the people who aren't always affected by it become affected by it, and that's what's going to start this rebellion full scale. And
I think that's right.
It's I would say in its own right, not in the same way of House of Dragons, but I would say in its own right, it's its own kind of political thriller.
Yeah.
You know, in a different way, I suppose.
No, I think you're right, Brent. I mean, I think that's, I look at this show, like I said, kind of keeps you on the edge. And so like that ticking time bomb effect is, I think, what this show does best. It's cool because it's nice to see a Star Wars anything kind of leave you on edge. I don't know if we've had that. The Mandalorian to some degree, but it's more of an entertainment value than it is keeping you on edge. The show kind of makes you nervous because, like we've said so many times, like we don't really know who's good or bad, really based off of what we see, not what we know. Because like the Empire is bad, but really, I mean, we don't. That's the thing. And so now we're starting to see. Number one, we're starting to see like why they're bad, and then, but we also don't know that Andor is good. And I like the anti-hero Taylor Swift reference. I wasn't actually intentionally doing that until I said it, but I do like that kind of thing with him. And like I said, his acting is just so off the charts, that no, this show just. Like even when it's building up, I'm okay with it. And it's so weird for me to say that because I will, for a lot of times with shows like this that aren't your, prestige television, building episodes can sometimes be blah, but this one seems to just do it really well because, like I said, because we know what they can do when they do get to that episode where all the building is laid out.
Yeah. And I think that you have, and this was one of the things that was said in the Rings of Power finale is when we talked about the season as a whole, the actors were not carrying the story very well. They weren't doing a good job of selling what they were trying to convey. And I do think that is something that is a weak spot for Amazon specifically, because they're still kind of fledgling in this whole streaming thing. But that's something that Disney, they're going to attract talent. I mean, we talked about Andy Serkis just popping up in this episode. I mean, Stellan Skarsgård, Andy Serkis, Forrest Whitaker won an Oscar for Best Actor. So these are people who like know what they're doing in terms of acting. And I think that says a lot. And I also think that in this case, this is a very carefully crafted story. And I think it is that way because they know they can't screw this up.
Right.
Because they want to be, I think that there's probably a lot of storytellers out there who are dying to tell a story, who are dying to play in this sandbox. But this is like the proving ground in terms of a show that has nothing to do with the Skywalker saga. The first season of Mandalorian was also kind of that, but then the second season still, and then the Book of Boba Fett still tied so closely to the Skywalker saga, in so much as Luke Skywalker was in both of those series.
Right.
Okay. So this is completely devoid of all that. And I think that this is a proving ground for stories to be told outside of that mainline story. It's a galaxy. It's a whole galaxy to open up and play with. And it's really disheartening that this show hasn't fared super well in terms of viewership, because I'll be quite honest. I think that the only show that has come to Disney Plus that can go toe to toe with this in terms of quality entertainment is season 1 of The Mandalorian. Everything else falls way underneath. And it's a damn shame that people are hung up on, for whatever reason, not trying to check this show out, because it is very, very, very good. Very good.
It is. 100% agree.
All right. Moving on.